and share my screen. Okay, so as I was talking about with ADA, so if you can't find anything on their continuing education page that tells you how to become, someone where you can have your presentation certified, then your best bet is to either shoot an email to them or call the main number and tell them, hey, I have this great content, I would love to have my class or workshop. I'd love to make sure that your association professionals can actually get continuing education credit for it. What paperwork do I need to fill out? Because typically they're going to have you fill out some paperwork. Now, I can tell you some of these associations actually will charge you. It's not a lot. It's like maybe $50 or $150. But a lot of times, if it is your core market, if the people in this program, like for example, if you really want to get in front of dental offices, okay, or dentist, and it's your primary, like, hey, those are the people I coach, those are the people who buy my program, okay, great, it's well worth the investment, because if they know that they're going to get continuing education credit for your presentation, then the more likely you're going to have more people signing up for it, number one, and number two, you're going to have a better time when you reach out to the different state associations and say, hey, I'm certified through ADA, or my program is, they get one continuing education credit. You're going to have a much better chance of not only getting your foot in the door, but getting selected for future things. So if you do not see anything on their continuing education page on their national site, don't go by the state, but go to the national site and see how they have it set up, okay? So as you'll see, I have 3 here that we're reviewing. So ADA is 1. So that's your best bet, is to call and find out exactly who you need to talk to, or can they send you the paperwork to get certified, or so your class can get certified for their attendees to get continuing education credit. Now, the other one that I picked tonight was the American College of Occupational and Environmental Medicine. That's a mouthful. So when I went on their site, and again, everybody's site is going to be different. So with this, they actually have their own tab here. They were pretty detailed. They have their actual own page for joint partnership of CME activities. So they have their own application that you would fill out, what their guidelines are. They break everything down, how to write the learning objectives to make sure that they don't get kicked back, from once everything gets submitted. The actual application, which I'm not going to click on it because I'm afraid it might freeze up my screen again. But if you click on that, it's a pretty detailed application. It's about 15 pages long. They do charge. I think they're the ones that are like $50 or $60 to do virtual. But again, how this will help you, there's 2 different ways. If you have, again, if this is like your core target market, you pay the fee, you get the certification, wonderful. Then you're ready to go. You can contact the state chapters, the local chapters. Hey, even if you can do a virtual presentation where they're going to get credit, that's wonderful. And then if they're not going to pay you anything for it, which I don't think, if you're certified, more than likely you're going to get something for this. But I would still ask, hey, I would love to do a giveaway, or I'd love to be able to give them some free content. Do something where you can get the attendee list, because that way you have a list of everybody that attended your presentation for you to follow up with, okay? And what's good about this is you can always follow up. Like, I usually try to do it like at least no more than a week afterwards. So if you do this, hopefully Zoom's not freezing again. When you do this and you contact them, hey, how did you like my presentation? Hey, did everything go well? Did you receive credit, your continuing education credit? Let me know if you have any issues. I'll help you out with that. By the way, I like to do actual feedback. I like to do my own feedback forums. I really don't like to get the list. So I'll give you an example. And if you all want a copy of this, I'll email it to you, okay? Just let me know. But these are the feedback forms that I have put together myself. I made this in Microsoft Word, okay? And I have a template and I can email it to you. But basically at the top, it just says, I hand these out, I put them out on the table. Now, if they're electronic, you can do the same thing with Wufoo, okay? Wufoo is a free online survey type, thing. don't have any more than 3 questions, and capture their contact information. But I always ask them to rate me. How did I do as a speaker? Because if I'm doing a bad job, I need to know where I need to make improvement. I ask them what other topics they're interested in. And I do that because obviously if they tell us, hey, we're interested in, HR topics. Oh, really great. That might be a great lead for Dee to follow up with, or for Nancy to follow up with based on what they need. So I do it for lead generation for us. Down at the bottom, I have name, phone number, and email, because that's all I want. But that way it makes it easy. They just check off what they want, circle, and then write in their information. If it's an in-person event, I collect these forms and I do a giveaway. With me, I usually have like maybe a $20 or $25 gift card, Visa gift card. I've raffled off books before. I've raffled off a $10 Starbucks gift card. People, just something free. So we collect all of these during, the Q&A period. I put them in a just like a plastic clear bowl, and I have someone from the audience draw out a form. I say, oh, Nancy Smith, congratulations, you're the winner. So when I leave there, I have all of these feedback forms. So one thing you can do on this is you can put down, like, instead of what I have, what other topics are you interested in? You can ask them, like Audrey, you could put, has your company ever thought of, circle all that apply, having an emergency preparedness plan? What do we do if we have to relocate? Things that you would normally ask a prospect are things that you could put on that one question, and make it easy where they can circle. So that way you have leads to follow up with, and that kind of gives you, a chance to go in. But the continuing education credit, where that's really going to help you, is it's going to fill the room. Usually, like HRPA, the last time I spoke there, which is Canada's version of SHRM, I think I had close to 200 people in the room. It was packed. They only got 1 credit hour, but it was packed. If they're there and it's something of interest to them, they're going to sign up for it, but even more if they get some type of credit. So those are a couple of little things that you can do. But like, for example, with this one, this particular, and if you want, I'm going to put these in chat just so if you guys want to, or ladies would like to, check these out for yourself. So this one is the American Occupational Health. They do a conference, American Occupational Health Conference. So that's theirs. ADA, I'll just copy that and put that in the chat too. Here, oh goodness, it doesn't want to make things easy, does it? And again, every single association is going to have a different process for this. Now, the last one I want to go over for tonight, this is ADA, and I think I'm going to have to email this to you ladies because it's an actual handout. So we do a lot with the American Payroll Association. Now, they gave this to us. This is 100 popular APA, the meeting topics that they have. So if you scan through this list, it's 2 pages long, and it's everything from customer service to a lot of HR related technical stuff. They have FMLA issues, handling overpayments, HIPAA, supplementary military pay, non-discrimination testing. And I'm sure that this was given to us prior to 2020, so I'm sure there's even more now that's on their list. So read through it. And let's say, for example, let's see. Third-party sick day pay, timekeeping in the cloud, violence in the workplace. So that's a good one. So we'll pick that. So let's just say, for example, that very last one, violence in the workplace, like Audrey, and there's probably more on here that would pertain to what you do, but because she does disaster preparedness, this might be something that she could, not just about violence in the workplace, but what happens if something happens within the workplace. There's a tornado, there's an earthquake, there's a fire, there's flood. How do you handle that? So you can actually take some of these and give them additional things to think about, so don't feel like it has to be exactly violence in the workplace. These are just things that they have that their attendees are interested in. A lot of these things are going to also be things that they can get continuing education credit for. On the bottom of this form, they usually have to try, they try to push APA. I will tell you, will try to push everything through for continuing ed. So they actually have a fax number down there, but if you email certification@americanpayroll.com and tell them, hey, I have this topic, I would love to have it, get it certified by you all. What are the steps I need to take? Who do I need to send my topic summary 3 to 5 to, all of the information that they're going to require? Who do you send that to? And they're very good about getting back with people. This is a PDF, so I'm going to email it to both of you, okay? And if anybody's listening to the replay and you want that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to upload it to the backend content to our site. So it's going to be in the speaker in a box content, and I will put it under continuing education certification, okay? So if you're listening to the replay, that's where it will also be. So APA makes it pretty simplistic. They don't complicate it. And again, I think the Dental Association, American, anything to do with medical, like the American College here, it is going to be more complex. But when you're looking at this, you always want to contact the national association before you even go. Like I said, ADA, each state's different as well. I think that's the one where each state was different, or yeah, ADA has, so each state is different. So they may even tell you there may be another way where they're going to make it easier for you. So with me, I would call and say, hey, since every state's different, how should do I need to go to each state one to do this? What would, what's the best way to go about it? And they may have something overall where you can get certified on a national level. So even with the Construction Association, the American Paralegal Association or American Legal Association, they're going to have their own things too. So even with the attorneys, the Bar Association is a good place to go. So every state bar is going to be different. If you contact them, look at their website. If you want to gear towards attorneys, it really just depends on who you're trying to target. Then at that point, you want to go to them and say, hey, I have this presentation. I would love for them to be able to get a credit, 1 credit hour or 2 credit hours, whatever might be allotted. What is your process? Because usually the association or, American Bar Association, Dental Association, whoever, they're going to be the ones in charge of keeping track of all that, making sure that it doesn't get kicked back. So your best bet is to go through them. But wait, make sure you have a PowerPoint. They are going to ask for that. It's like a lot of people, I see so many things out there where people go, oh, PowerPoint's dead. Don't do a PowerPoint. Don't do it. But a lot of times they're going to ask you for it, at the larger shows. And this is why, because there's going to be plenty of people in the audience who are going to be getting 1 credit hour for your class, which is great. You want them to be able to use that towards their continuing education. So PowerPoint is a deal breaker. You got to have that. Don't be afraid to share that. If you feel like, hey, if you ever feel like somebody's going to be taking the content that you have, always keep in mind they're doing this for continuing education purposes, the larger shows. So the people who have that, you could always put on, like what I do with mine, I don't make my PowerPoints extremely detailed. You never really want to do that. But, like with bullet points, because I feel that the gold and the things that we're offering as speakers, it comes out of our mouth. It's not so much on the PowerPoint. So I keep mine probably about maybe with 50% content. They're not overly, they don't have to be overly detailed. And I would say stay away from that. You never want to make it where they can just keep the PowerPoint and they don't need you to come and speak. So I would say maybe half content. So between the PowerPoint, the fact that they are logged in, that they signed in for your class, that they filled out and at the bigger shows, they're going to have them fill out something similar, rate your speaker, blah, blah, blah. And they usually share that with you. So that's all proof that they actually attended. So that's usually where it's going. If you're ever worried about people copying what you're doing, you can, again, make it less content, and you could always put down in the header or footer, all rights reserved, copyright, whatever. That's fine to do. No one's going to have an issue with that. But the PowerPoint and your bio, detailed bio, who you are, why you're the expert. If you want to list your educational credentials, by all means do that. You don't really get into too much of that unless it's more of a technical related class. And what I mean by technical is usually, again, if it's an attorney, if it's going to be something on updated tort law, then yeah, that needs to be taught by someone who has a JD degree for them to get credit, because they're going to be getting more credits, probably three credit hours. So each association is going to be different. So go to their national one first, and then if they filter you through, to go to the state ones. But again, this is a great way for when you're reaching out to these meeting planners. Hey, I'm SHRM certified, or I'm ADA certified. Then they know, okay, great. That's a leg up, because you're going to probably get picked sooner than someone who isn't. So some of them do, again, they ask for a financial investment. Most of them don't. It looks like on the medical side they do. So if that's your target market, it might be worth spending $50, $60, $100, whatever they're charging you to get that to where you can be listed. Sometimes they will list, where you can get continuing education credit too. I think that's more for the schools though, but they may list your information, which is good, because that's, something else that, hey, if they have, 10 or 15 attorneys on board, hey, this is great. We can bring one person in, everybody's getting in 1 credit hour. You can always use that in the mix when you're selling yourself. So I hope that this helps. I'm going to stop screen sharing. Like I said, I will email this to both of you ladies who are on the call. For those who are watching the recording, it will be in the back end content of the Speaker in a Box under continuing education credit certification. Okay, so it will be there. I'm going to stop sharing, and I'm going to go ahead and stop this recording.